According to Associated Press, communist forces have shelled Hue and 4 other South Vietnamese towns in efforts to disrupt pacification programs. 11 South Vietnamese died and 40 were wounded. The U.S. command here in Saigon announced the loss of a helicopter over Cambodia. 2 Americans were killed and 2 wounded in that crash. Sources say the copter was on an observation mission. It was the first disclosure that the U.S. is using helicopters to fly reconnaissance missions in Cambodia. That report from Associated Press.
Military officials in Saigon announced tonight that 1,788 enemy have been killed throughout the Republic, not counting the capital district, in the last 48 hours that ended at 1500 this afternoon. They said friendly losses during the period have been light. The Viet Cong have launched assaults up and down the length of the Republic during the period. Today in Saigon, they tried to seize the American embassy. They were unsuccessful. 0300, a Viet Cong force from the C-10 Sapper Battalion, attacked the embassy with small arms, automatic weapons, and RPG-2 fire. They penetrated the compound, but a handful of defenders kept them out of the embassy building. Reinforcements arrived as the fighting lasted for about 5 hours. Military policemen stormed the building from the front, and 36 paratroopers from the 101st Airborne Division landed on the roof of the embassy in helicopters. The entire 19-man enemy force was killed. The enemy soldiers wore civilian clothing. Some had red armbands wrapped around their arms. 4 United States military policemen were killed in the fighting and 4 others wounded. 1 Marine was killed and 7 wounded. One of the wounded Marines is listed as critical. The commander of American forces in Vietnam, General W.C. Westmoreland, visited the embassy this morning, talked to officials who had these comments on the attack.
Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. It progressively developed after reconnaissance was made. Some sniper fire was encountered. And partly after the building had been surrounded, MPs entered the compound, killing a number of enemy soldiers dressed in civilian clothes on the premises.
General Westmoreland said the 7-day truce the communists had proclaimed for the Lunar New Year is clearly revealed as a hoax and a fraud. Earlier, the Alliance had canceled their own 36-hour truce for the 5 northernmost provinces of South Vietnam because of massive enemy buildups of men and supplies. They later canceled the whole truce. At the same time, Viet Cong soldiers were attacking other targets in the capital district. They assaulted the Joint General Staff Headquarters, the Tom Snoot Air Base, and Mac V Annex, the Vietnamese Naval Headquarters, the Phu Tho Racetrack, and 6 American military hotels in the city. In Saigon, 1 military policeman has been killed and 20 others wounded. The operations officer for the 716th MP Battalion says he's convinced the attacks were coordinated and planned in advance. All commercial air flights out of Tom Snoot have been canceled, and the base has been placed on a military alert. Enemy raiders also attacked the Vietnamese radio station in Saigon, and there were skirmishes reported at the border of the capital. 2 terrorists on a motorbike tossed a grenade at the home of the Philippine ambassador to South Vietnam today. No one was hurt by the blast. One of the terrorists was killed, and the second wounded and captured. There are also reports of a sniper in the vicinity of the Korean embassy in downtown Saigon. Patrol on an estimated 2 VC companies attacked the 6th Mountain police station. They were assaulted and are reportedly making an attempted escape. Most of the reports received so far are still sketchy, and details are expected later. President Johnson was up in the early hours stateside time today to receive briefings on the Vietnam situation. Newsman Don Folsom has that story.
President Johnson asked to be awakened during the night for reports on increased communist military activity in South Vietnam. He was, twice. He was roused from that at 5 a.m. and again at 7 to receive cables from General Westmoreland. Democratic and national leaders, including Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Fulbright and House Foreign Affairs Committee Chief Morgan, were filled in on the Vietnam situation and the Pueblo matter at the White House this morning. With Mr. Johnson presiding at the breakfast session, Defense Secretary McNamara, State Secretary Rusk, and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Earl Wheeler conducted the briefings. The White House says Republican congressional leaders will also be kept up to date on Vietnam and Pueblo developments. Don Folsom at the White House.